Do we understand the concept of isotopes?
No.
I could definitely use a
Not
refresher.
that I-
Okay, so isotopes are pretty easy.
Wait, those are just different forms of a molecule, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So hydrogen. This is hydrogen. It has one proton in its nucleus. Okay? So 9 times out of 10, if you were to go out hydrogen picking, like berry picking, where you're looking for hydrogen molecules, in nature they're going to be found. Here's the nucleus. How am I going to draw this? Sure, that's my nucleus. I'm going to find one proton. 9 times out of 10. So the most common form of hydrogen is going to have no neutrons. Remember, in a cell, or in an element, in an element, we're going to have protons and neutrons in the middle, and then in the electron cloud is the electrons. Okay? So 9 times out of 10, only one proton. No neutrons. But let's say you get lucky while hydrogen picking and you find one with a proton in the middle, just one, because remember protons is kind of what makes each element unique. So you could never find hydrogen with 2 protons, because the reason why hydrogen is hydrogen, the definition would be 1 proton. Okay? For some reason. Is that what it's called, right? For some reason that looks so weird to me.
Looks good to me.
Proton.
Good.
Hopefully it's right. Oh well. But that's what gives it like that chemical makeup, is the fact that it has 1 proton. You could never say that hydrogen has like 7 protons. That would then be maybe like, I don't know what that is, like magnesium or oxygen or something.
So I remember a question like this on the test or quiz. Its elements are defined by, is it the number of protons or
Yep.
neutrons? Number of
Protons.
Okay.
And you can figure that out with what I'm about to tell you. Because what if we find another hydrogen? This is kind of how they name them. What if we find one with then 1 neutron in it? It's still hydrogen, because what makes hydrogen hydrogen is the number of protons. But this would be called an isotope. So the definition of an isotope would be what?
Same number of protons, different number of neutrons.
Yep. Perfect. Same number of protons. Different number of neutrons. So basically just the different forms of an element. Then you go looking again, and this time you find a third form of hydrogen. And this one, of course, is going to have how many protons?
Just 1?
Yep. But you find 2 neutrons. That's an isotope. Again, I don't really see how, have they ever put pictures on your guys' exam?
Yeah.
So far they have had pictures. So they could do this picture scenario easily, just because it's the exact same one you'll find in your book, and say, what are we depicting? And you know it's an isotope, just because same number of protons, different number of neutrons. Even if you didn't, oh, go ahead.
I remember what got me on this exam was like all the little details about, like, I don't know, just like everything, because it would have like, you know, which ones are true about blah, 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 and then have everything listed. And so I was like, well, I know those are true, but I haven't really heard of that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's what made me do not as good on this test.
A test-taking tip would be, again, like as you always do, like write everything down that you possibly can think of on a scratch sheet of paper before you start taking the test. So like set apart those 30 minutes, if not more. And then also never click all the above if you've never heard of something before. Or never click something just because you're not sure about the rest and you're like, well, maybe I just didn't study it. Because I've like looked over a lot of the practice tests, like with students who come in and we like take the practice exams before. And there's so many like options on the test that you don't even learn about till like 265. Like they're, on one of the questions, I want to say it was on the neuromuscular junction exam. One of the options was talking about red blood cells and how red blood cells are made. And so, but then it was like an all, click like all that applies. So someone was like, oh, well, I don't know that word, like a eukaryotype, so I'm just gonna click all the above. So if you haven't heard of something before, definitely don't click it. Mm-hmm.
Good call.
Yeah.
So quick question, when it comes to like atomic number and mass number,
Mm-hmm.
so I thought, which one is it atomic number that is your number of, isn't one of them your protons and neutrons? Or is one of them your protons plus neutrons?
Protons and neutrons. So right here is going to be your AMU, or, well, that's kind of like the unit of it. This is your atomic mass. And that's the weight of your nucleus. So your nucleus is composed of what?
Oh, protons and neutrons.
Protons and neutrons. And then up in this corner is going to be the number of protons. This is your atomic what?
Number?
Yeah, atomic number. I think hydrogen's like 1.08 grams.
So your atomic number is just your number of protons?
Protons and neutrons. But notice, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any neutrons, which is why this is like 1.08. You get the 0.08 because sometimes there is. It's kind of the average of every single type of hydrogen berry mixed in together.
Okay, so what's the difference between atomic number and atomic mass number then?
This is going to be the number of only protons.
Okay.
And this is number of protons plus neutrons.
See, that makes sense now that you say like it's the mass of the nucleus, like it's what the nucleus weighs.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then with how electrons figure in, there's always the same number of neutrons as electrons, right?
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think I gave you a little chart in the other book. But it might.
Wait, always the same number of neutrons as electrons? Is that what you said?
Or is it protons?
Actually, maybe protons. I think it's protons. Yep, protons for sure. Mm. Okay. So then, let's do a scenario. Oops, I just erased my key. Okay, so I'm sure there'll be a question on how much protons, electrons, and neutrons does this element have? So we're going to kind of make up our own element to kind of get the point down. What's your last name, Abby?
Erickson.
So we have AE element, okay? How old are you?
20.
Okay, and then let's do, okay, so let's figure out the number of protons, number of electrons, and the number of neutrons. How many protons does
Just 10?
Abby Erickson have? Yep, 10?
10 electrons too, right?
10 electrons? And how many neutrons?
10.5.
Mm-hmm. You'll find a lot of the times you're going to get the same number for all of them. 10, 10, 10, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. So don't let that kind of psych you out on the test too. Because I know that's something that I would probably do is like, wait, they're all the same. There's no way this is possible. But for most of the elements, they are. Like, let's do, let's do carbon. So the symbol for carbon is a big C. That's carbon. So So how many protons does carbon have?
6.
How many electrons?
6.
How many neutrons?
6.
Okay.
Need a new number. Just kidding.
Something's obviously wrong. Let's click the option that doesn't have them all right. Let's click the option that has it as 7.
It's like that feeling you get when you put D like 4 times in a row.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, I gotta click B,
Yeah.
or like, you know, like everyone's heard like C or something. Hey,
It's the
C
most
is the most common. Like, if I haven't clicked C in a while, I'm like, C. It's like, no, you dummy. Like, just figure it out.